This is probably brick wall. Actually, I came up with this when my daughter was 8. I took her to church. My husband was overseas at the time, and she decided she wanted to sit in the front row. As soon as we got there, she started acting up. And so I took her home, and then she felt like, wow, she had leverage. She got away with that. And she was the most strong-willed, stubborn child I have met yet. And so I took her aside and I told her, I'm a brick wall. It stops here. You can't go around me, you can't go through me, you can't go over me. When you're driving and you come to a brick wall, you have to turn around and go another direction. That's what a brick wall is. It's that strong foundation that's going to hold firm. And some of those really strong-willed kids need a brick wall. An example I have was when I was working for Northside, I had a child that should have probably been in an ED unit, but we didn't have one. The parents would not respond to any of my phone calls. She was bullying children. She had thrown things at a substitute, and she had special locks on her car because she had threatened to throw herself out on the highway. And once I realized I was not going to have any parental support in dealing with this child. And this was a child that when I'd take her out in the hall because she was throwing things in the classroom, and I'd say, you need to stop. And she'd just tell me, I hate you. Well, I had done sending her to the office thing, and that wasn't going to change her behavior. That was just time out, come back, same way. So I started using the brick wall. Like I remembered there was a brick wall. So I'd take her out in the hall and I'd say, you hit a brick wall. It stops here. Now, you may come back into my classroom if you have 3 things: teachable attitude, self-control, and respect for others and for your teacher. And she'd say, I hate you. And again, don't get pulled in emotionally. Parents do that. You're a teacher. Do not get pulled in emotionally. Train yourself to stand back, look at that child, and say, you're there to help that child. Separate what their attack on you is. It's not on you personally. This child has issues. This child has problems. And at one point, I did have to send her to the office, and I taught 4th grade at the time. The office was past 3rd grade and 2nd grade. It was a long way down. And 2 aides lifted her under the arms and carried her by the legs, and all you could hear in that entire building, all the way down 2nd grade and 3rd grade, was, one more chance, Mrs. Aiken, give me one more chance. And I thought, there isn't a 3rd grader or a 2nd grader that's going to want to be in my class next year. She did her 3 days in school suspension. Then she came back. My class is lined up. I shake hands every morning. I get to her, and she's all defiance. And I hold on to her hand, and I don't let go. And I can see it all over her face. I'm back. And I said, you may enter my classroom if you have 3 things: teachable attitude, self-control, and respect. Whatever. No, ma'am. You may enter. I said it like 3 or 4 times. And finally, she was like, okay. I said, not okay. Respect was one of them. That's not modeling it for me. And what it was is I became that brick wall to this young lady. The most out-of-control kids, really, what they want is someone in control until they can get there. And that's what I had to be for her. This young lady who had no respect for anybody learned to respect. This young lady who hated herself as well as others, learned to be proud of herself. When she started self-managing, I would reinforce that, I would praise that. This young lady who at first stood there and told me, I hate you, Mrs. Aiken, actually hugged me at the end of the year and said, I love you. Because again, she was out of control, she didn't know how to be in control, she had to learn. She had to learn how to stop and go in a different direction. And she had to practice that to get there. And that was probably one of my most difficult cases, but we do get these kind of kids. And this is probably the hardest lesson. And with this lesson, for some students, it is immediately effective. With this young lady, it took 6 months, but I didn't give up every time. And she tried to wear me down, but I didn't wear her down. I'd take her out in the hall. You can come back into, you have a choice, because again, kids like a choice. You have a choice. You can come back in my classroom with these 3 things, or we'll take a walk down to the office. But 3 days in school suspension, you're still not coming back into that classroom till you have those 3 things. And when she'd come in that classroom and start showing a right attitude, there was the praise. There was the reinforcer. There was the giving her leadership roles. There was the giving her that leverage that you're getting there. You're getting there.
We want to thank you for your time.